Hello, you are once again welcome. In this lesson, you will have a look at another concept which is really important, which is React Virtual DOM. Okay, it's really important to understand to help you understand how React works. Before we move on, let me give you a scenario here. Let's go back to our code and then let's make changes to this line of code under my first component. Let's add 2, save it, go to application, automatically we have it being updated. So how does it work? How these things work behind the scene to understand how React renders this update anytime you make changes to application. That will enable us to know what is called the DOM. Okay, before teaching you, explaining to you what is React Virtual DOM, you need to understand HTML DOM. So in this lesson, you have a look at DOM. If you know it, if you don't, follow me. We are going to have a look at DOM with practical code, and then we come back to React Virtual DOM. We compare how this one differ from the normal DOM we are talking about. Okay, so now let's get started. So first, let's check what is DOM. As you can see, a DOM represents what? A node, right? This one makes up a page, right? When you render a website. Okay, so we come back to this diagram. So now let's move on and know what is DOM. Okay, so document object model, that is DOM, is a programming interface for HTML. DOM represents the page so that programs can change the document structure, style, and content. Okay, I'll come back to this. The DOM represents the document as nodes and objects. That way, programming languages can connect to the page. I'll explain to you with code. I got this documentation from MDN. Okay, so now let's go back to code and explain to you what a document is. So right now, we are not going to talk with React. Sorry, I don't want to work with React. We are making a way to understand how React works. So in here, I'm going to create a normal HTML. Let me call this one web page. A normal HTML, right? Let me open this inside my code editor, right here, like so. Let me make it bigger. And in here, let's create one file called index.html. And let's create one file called script.js. Okay, this is my JavaScript file .js, and here let's have some boilerplate, and then let's make this one h1 say my HTML app, like so. So let's open this one inside a browser. So I like to open in this way. So let me have one and then paste it here, right? So this is what we are working on now, our vanilla JavaScript, HTML. Okay, that is it. Good. So now let's go back to the code, right? So from the HTML up to here, all what we see inside represent the node we are talking about. If you look at our diagram here, right? Let's go back to the diagram I am talking about here. Sorry, let me go back one more step. Yeah, this one, you see we have HTML, which is also here, head, metadata, title, everything. So this thing makes up our web page, which is this one, right? Good. Now let's see. Let's try. It says that the DOM help us to what? Use some scripting language to make changes to our application. Now let's try to use JavaScript to what? To make changes to this text, right? So all this is done, is possible because of what? DOM. So now let's go back to the code, and then in here let's connect our our JavaScript to our normal HTML website we are working on, and as I'll see one step, and then which is script.js. Okay, so here when we console log, the document is a global object that represents what? Our web page. Okay, and it says that it's an object. So when you console.log, see something here, document, Okay, save it. Let's go to our application, refresh it, and then go to the console. Open your console. As we see, we have document. Open it. As you can see, it gives the structure of what we are. Let me make it this way. It gives the structure of this HTML nodes we are seeing here inside our console. When you click on head, you can see we have the same structure here, and inside of body we have one HTML element called h1. Good. So now that we have this, we can use JavaScript to change or make changes to our application. And it is possible because of what? The DOM. So the DOM represents what? The entire page we see, right? And we can use JavaScript or any scripting language to change the data we see on our page. So now let's do so. Let's try to use JavaScript to what? To change the text of my HTML app using JavaScript. And all this is possible because of what? The DOM. So now let me give this one a class, okay, so we can target it if you don't have. So let me say a class of, let's say, text, like that. So go back to our code and then let me declare a variable called const and say text equal to document dot get element by class name, okay, and it was what? Text, right? Like so. So when you console.log, let's console.log text and see what we have. Save it. As you can see, we have the h1 element, which is an array, right? But we can target the first one, 0, and then save it, right? We have it here. So we can change this one. So because of this one, we can make this way. We can change the content of the text. So we say text array, we have the first index and then inner HTML equal to I have changed you. Okay, save it. You see I have changed you, right? Excellent. So that is done with the help of what? The DOM. Okay, so now let's go back to our explanation or definition of the DOM and see how we can compare to React DOM as well. So going back to the presentation, right? Now you can see we know how a DOM structure is. It represents the node, individual element we see, and we can use JavaScript to target this node. Okay, so here comes the next question. Okay, we know this one, and the next one is what? React Virtual DOM. Okay, so what is React Virtual DOM? Behind the scenes, React creates an exact copy of the real DOM, and React only updates a node that has changed. Okay, so the difference between the virtual DOM and the normal HTML DOM is how it gets updated anytime we make changes to our application. Okay, so for the normal HTML we see here, where is it? This one. Anytime you make changes to application, let me make this one 2 or 3. Go to application, right? When you refresh it, like so, you can see that all behind the scene, all the node behind the scene get refreshed. Okay, so let me console log the DOM element for you to see document, like so. So it means that it says that all the nodes get refreshed to get updated to a node which has changed, and this things affect performance, right? But React doesn't work in this way. The React DOM does not update or refresh or go through all the node and see which one has changed. React DOM behind the scene node a node which has changed. When I say node, it can represent, for example, h1 or body, right? In this case, the h1 have the text and it has changed. So when you're working with a normal DOM, all these nodes get refreshed, right? Again, see the icon here, refresh again, right? But for virtual DOM, it doesn't work in that way. Let's go back to the slide again. So behind the scene, React create exact copy of the normal HTML DOM like this one. Okay, so anytime there's a change in any of the node, React knows only that node and it will target that node to update to the UI. But if you're working with a normal HTML DOM, it doesn't work in that way. All of them need to be what? Refreshed and what? Get to know which one has what changed. So now, this is how a React DOM behind the scenes looks like. Okay, React DOM always looking through the node and see which has changed. On the left hand side, we have the normal HTML DOM. If you go back to our React, what do you call it? Which one? Sorry for me going back. Yeah. Let's move on to index.js file. Okay, sorry, public.js file. Exactly, index. Here we have one HTML file which represents a DOM. So behind the scene, React creates an exact copy of this HTML page we have and regard that one as what? Virtual DOM. Okay, so when you go back to the slide, the copy React make is what? Called React Virtual DOM. And React Virtual DOM is always looking through the original DOM. If there's any change in any of the node, React will target that node and make changes and appear on our web page. That is how it's working here. When we make changes to limit 1 to 7, save it, good. We see we have been what? That node has been updated based on the changes it made. It doesn't change the whole entire node or refresh it again to make changes. That is how React is really fast as compared to normal JavaScript or HTML application.